Hello and welcome to tonight's episode of Flames Nation. I'm Scout Hughes, and tonight we'll be highlighting Rebekah Mansfield, a member of the triathlon team here at Liberty University. Through her story, we bring you an inside look at the strength and perseverance it takes to be a triathlete. However, before we dive into the details of being a triathlete, I took time to inquire about how exactly she got into the sport.
When I came to Liberty, I looked up what clubs were available, and I saw the triathlon team, and I looked them up, and they looked really cool, and there happened to be an interest meeting like that day. So I went there, so I didn't even have time to second guess or panic, and I just fell in love with the team. Like, just the people are really easygoing and friendly and just really genuine, and we had our first practice and things went like really fast, but it was all really fun, and I just fell in love with the sport. A lot of it was on my own. When I was a runner before, and that was something that I just always did to clear my head. And just in high school, like, I was never very fast, but I just really loved it. And I wanted to have like a team atmosphere to keep pushing me, and I knew if I came to college I might get busy, so having a team there has just been really helpful. And then the team itself, they are just one big family. Like, they're just a lot of fun, and they've all pushed me, and several of my teammates are like some of my best friends and biggest motivators. I've done different kinds of sports in the past. I played tennis and soccer when I was kind of younger, and I did some races that were smaller, but really nothing this big. I never did any triathlons when I was younger.
Did you do any like 5Ks or?
No, I just played tennis when I was younger.
All right.
I had a goal to do like a marathon in college, but I had a lot of work to get to that point.
Right.
So I did a Spartan race, and that was a lot of fun for me because it's running and different obstacles, and you get distracted by the obstacles and don't even feel the pain of running, so it's pretty fun.
Despite the fact that Rebekah was not competing in triathlons when she was younger, it is clear that the athletic goals she set for college were ones she worked hard to achieve. Coming up, we will be diving deeper into Mansfield's journey and life as an LU triathlete, but first, a quick commercial break. Here at Liberty University, we students are always striving to be champions for Christ, whether it be with our academics, our athletics, or spiritual relationships. We always strive to glorify God in everything we do. In this next segment, we will be taking a closer look at what it takes to be a triathlete physically, and how important it is to have the right mindset.
So every week we have a 3-hour long ride. So that's usually around like 40 to 50 miles. Depends on like the strength of like the person. And then we have a long run, which is usually 6 miles. And then throughout the week, we just have swims in the morning and sometimes bricks, so like bike runs in the afternoon. And then we have like one day that's dedicated to running, and then the rest are like bricks. Our nationals was canceled, so instead we're going to Miami and we're doing an ocean triathlon, which is super cool but kind of scary because it's the ocean, but something that I'm a little nervous about, but it just takes like a lot of mental strength too. The mental part, it's kind of a challenge. It's something that's like not just right before a race, it's in every practice, and like just keeping your mind talk like positive. Your mindset is like super important just going into it because it's a long race and you're telling yourself the whole time that you can't do it, like you're just not gonna do it. Our coach actually wrote a book on her mental standpoint like through all of her races, and it's just really cool. She puts a lot of like she cheers for us a lot through practices and tries to keep us motivated, and we pray before every practice, and like definitely like God I know is like a big part of at least my life when I'm exercising. Like that's just something that I naturally think about just because I feel so like small. I don't know, and I just think it's so awesome that we're able to exercise, and usually wherever we're racing is just beautiful. Like you have a lake and you're biking and it's just really nice. So I think a lot about like just how God just even allows me to do all these fun things. It can be hard, pretty busy, and there's not like a ton of extra downtime in my like personal life, but I feel like when I'm with the team, even though we're training hard, it's also like my downtime, like it's time to work things out and also like have fun. So really it's like a family, like you have to be close, everyone's kind of up in each other's business, but I think we have a really respectful, like kind team who's really just, everyone wants to push each other together, and that just also creates like a really fun like dynamic in the team. So there are lots of different personalities, but I think everyone's just really welcoming towards that and just kind of brings out the best. We try to have a couple like spiritual nights every semester. So we go on a hike and then we like sing songs and pray and like have a devotion. So like those kinds of things are really helpful because like even when you are biking, like you don't really have that many like serious conversations as much. So that it just allows like for a time of like community that's like specifically geared towards like our relationships with Christ.
Now, of course, being in shape and having the right mindset when competing these rigorous triathlons is very important. Rebekah clearly thinks so, and she is most certainly not alone in that mentality. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, I will sit down with another LU student who holds the health of athletes to a high standard. Professional or medical student alike would say that exercise is key to keeping your body healthy. In addition to Rebekah, I had the pleasure of speaking to exercise science major Carley Cleveland about her future profession and the benefits of being an athlete has on the body, both physically and mentally.
I'm an exercise science major, but I wasn't at first. I was actually a nursing major. We learned about the bones and muscles of the body, and I was very intrigued about those two subjects that I decided to switch my major because exercise science studies the bones and muscles of the body in more depth. Being an athlete, it could help you positively or negatively. More positive than negative, of course. Me being an athlete, I can tell you it definitely lowers my to certain endorphins. It releases like dopamine and serotonin. So like serotonin helps your stress levels go down, and then dopamine, if you have a higher amount of it, it actually keeps you in a brighter mood. And it also, for your mental state, it also decreases your risk of having like depression or anxiety. So negatively, it kind of maybe takes up time in your life, but I would say it would be completely worth it.
Being a triathlete, you're not just focused on one individual sport. How does that affect the person's body when they're taking that beating for 3 sports as opposed to 1?
It can be very strenuous on your body if you don't be careful. Like I would say some athletes probably overwork themselves. 3 sports is definitely hard to juggle with too, because you have to train for different sports. So it's like muscle memory of what you have to do and like learn. And your head also drags you down mentally because you're like, if you mess up, it's like, oh gosh darn it, like, uh-oh.
What is the spiritual aspect? What goes through your mind when you're kind of down on yourself?
So if I was a triathlete, if they were to actually look back and think of like how God created them and say like, wow, God actually made every muscle and every bone in their body to give them the ability to do what they love and what they strive to do. God made every single bone and muscle in my body, so just knowing that makes me very happy because it makes me able to do the things that I love.
Of course, being an athlete also has a spiritual aspect to it, as so clearly shown by Carley. Here over video chat, we have Rebekah herself to talk a little more about that topic. Thanks for being here, Rebekah.
Thank you for having me.
How would you say competing in these triathlons glorifies God?
My team definitely glorifies God just by working together and bringing each other up in our practices and just being more Christ-like with each other first. And then like the race is really long, so that just brings a lot of time to just be thinking about God and how much awesome abilities He gives us to just glorify Him and be strong in Him as we run and swim. And He just gives our bodies all these amazing gifts. So it's a lot to think about while we race and everything.
So with that being said, what drives you to keep competing?
A lot of it is the team and just how much fun we have together, and then another part of it is just how much I've been able to improve these last 2 years. Like knowing where I was then versus where I am now is just incredible, and it's really awesome to see that, and it's just very motivating. So.
I want to thank you again, Rebekah, for fitting us into your busy schedule. I know that our audience really appreciates it as well.
The pleasure was mine.
Well, unfortunately, it looks like that's all the time we have for today's show. Hearing from both Rebekah and Carley was truly eye-opening. I never put much thought into intense training physically, mentally, and even spiritually. Yet after today, my perspective has been changed. As always, I'd like to thank all the viewers at home and everyone in the studio that makes Flames Nation possible every episode. This has been Scout Hughes, and good night.